Okay, so potters, make sure that when you have your clay that the bottom is round, the bottom that you're gonna put down on the green bat, so you don't trap any air. And then I would definitely just slap center this a little bit. So I'm slapping and pushing down just to help you a little bit get centered. If you want, you can cone up and cone down to center, whatever works the fastest for you to get centered. Don't forget when you put your center hole in to do it at an angle. Since we're only using 3.5 pounds of clay, you're really gonna wanna make sure that your floor isn't too thick or really too thin. And by doing this at an angle, you can see how thick your floor is. So if you have a hard time eyeballing how thick or thin it should be, take your needle tool, poke it in, and then put your finger at the top of where the clay is, and then that's your measurement. It should be just like a little bit thinner than your pinky. You guys get that? And then you can just close, you know, that little hole will close up when you pull your floor. So again, you want the floor to be just about that thick. So now I am at 4 inches. So the interior from here to here is 4 inches. And then the other thing you want to do is you want to smooth this out. So this hand's just over here supporting, and I'm smoothing this floor out. Not only is it smoothing it out, but by applying pressure, it's also compacting the floor so that we don't get any S cracks. And here I'm also making sure I have my 90-degree angle. Do not skip these steps. We don't want to end up with pots that have cracks in the bottom after we get them out of the kiln. And this is how we prevent that. If you get an air pocket, which I did, go ahead and take your needle tool. Can you see this air pocket right here? That's an air bubble. Just go ahead and pop it. If it's pretty big, you can find like a piece of clay to kind of shove in there if need be. And then just go ahead and pull the wall again. So here's the second pull. Pushing in down here at the bottom. Now as I'm pulling this, I'm coming in at the top. Okay, so right now it's coming in slightly at the top, but just so it doesn't get out of control, I'm gonna go ahead, get this wet, and I'm gonna just choke the whole thing a little bit. Mind you, I'm not choking down here like this. I'm using all my hands because we want to go ahead and throw in this type of shape. Not this shape, not this shape, this shape. Now, it's really important that when you do your next pulls, that you follow that shape. So I'm following that shape and I'm applying more pressure with my outside hand. Now, you can see here I got a little like twisted, a little wavy. When that happens to your pot, hopefully you can see that, it's not too bad yet, but when that happens to your pot, you can reverse throw. And reverse throw is when you start at the top or above your wave or your twist, and you apply just gentle pressure and you go down. And that will counteract that twist. So as you're throwing, your pot might get a little bit wobbly. You can actually throw it back on center as long as you're really steady. Also, something that you need to do to help strengthen it is have your hand on the inside, and on the outside, use your rib. Don't have your rib straight like this, have it to the side, I'm pressing the clay on the inside, or pressing my hand on the inside, and doing the throwing motion of going up. And not only does it smooth it out, but it strengthens the vessel. You can even do this if you have a twist in your clay. You could do this going down, like reverse throw, using a rib in your hand. Okay, so also make sure that you're getting the water out of the inside. You could throw the most beautiful pots, but if you leave water on the inside, the bottom is going to dissolve or it's gonna crack. Okay, so here comes some measurements. I'm at 10.5 inches. And here is how this needs to be 4.5 inches. So I'm gonna take the caliper and lay it on the ruler and measure 4.5 inches. So I can see how big or small this is. So this is a little big right here. I'm gonna try to pull it one more time to see if I can get a little bit more weight up. Okay, so I pulled it again, and now this fits here. So I have that measurement correct. But now you can see it, you know, it's no longer going in at the top. So I need to work on choking it. So I'm being very careful to only get water on the outside. I'm gonna get this a little bit choked here, and then I'm gonna go down here. Don't let your hands or your pot get dry. Now, according to our design, we don't want any curve right here. We want this to go like a complete diagonal. So I'm trying to choke that belly in. Now remember, after you choke, you have to pull the wall. I'm just gonna really gently pull this wall, trying to keep that shape. I'm gonna come in with my wooden rib. I'm using the straight side of my wooden rib. So with my wooden rib on the straight side, I'm gonna start getting this angle. We wanna be careful because we don't want these lines. Again, you wanna have something on the inside pressing against the rib. Now you can see we have our little bit of an angle. I'm gonna start choking more. This part of the pot needs to be 3 inches. So I'm not just choking like this. I'm kind of using all of my hand to keep it under control, but I'm choking most with my ring finger. Okay, you can see it kind of starting to take shape. I do know that this needs to come in more. To keep it contemporary looking, we don't want a belly here. We want that straight angle. I'm just gonna check that measurement. Again, we want this neck to be 3 inches. Okay, I did not expect that to be 3 inches. So I guess I'm already there. I am gonna go back into this because I did choke right there, so you can't end on a choke. You always have to pull. I'm gonna come back in. Get that nice angle. Now here, I'm getting that angle. This rim needs to be 3.5 inches. So back to the ruler, going for 3.5 inches. It's a little big. Okay, so I'm getting, like, this is my 3 inches, this is at 3.5, but this measurement right here is only supposed to be 2 inches, and it's 2.5. So I need to make some adjustments. 3-inch measurement needs to come up. So there's my 2-inch measurement. And you guys, it's a lot of going back and forth with the measurements. This is my 3-inch. Great. All right, so I think my measurements are good. I am gonna cut my rim off. I don't always end up having to cut my rim off, but if the rim is not even, you definitely need to cut it off. And these rims need to be rounded. So I first kind of round it with my finger, and then I always, no matter what, go over that rim with a sponge or a chamois. Okay, so here's our finishing touches. I'm gonna just make sure I have this so it's an angle, not a belly. I'm getting my fingers in there as far as I can. I am gonna mark these ribs so you know what the 2 inches for this looks like. But I'm doing the 2-inch rim up here. So you'll have a mark on your wooden rib to know that measurement. Dry everything off. Your undercut, I'm also gonna make a mark on your wooden knives so you know how far to go in for your undercut. I want your undercuts not to be way down here, to be more like this. If you see I'm kind of holding it like you hold a pencil, nice and steady. I'm going in. And again, you'll have a mark here so you know how far to go in. So there's our undercut. See how there's a sharp edge right here? I just want you to really lightly take your sponge and just hit that sharp edge with your sponge, just to get rid of that. So your very last step is going to take your metal rib, and I just support the pot here. And don't hold the rib like this. You're gonna hold it like you're rubbing it, not scraping it. And you're just gonna lightly go over that entire surface. This gets rid of any finger marks, any lines. I still have a few more lines down here so that it's nice and smooth for the next steps. Okay. All right, so for the pouring spout, your fingers are gonna be, well, heck, let's just measure it. Let's say 2.5 inches apart. Your wrist needs to be down and your finger needs to be hooked. This is supposed to be frozen in the air, okay? This should be frozen. You take this finger and you rock back and forth. You do not yank down. You rock back and forth. You're stretching out that rim, like so. With these, I have found sometimes you have to put your finger a little bit more in there because it tends to bend a little bit there, okay? So make sure that this is still round and that this didn't like collapse in on itself, okay? All right, so we're gonna review the measurements. 11 inches tall. The neck right here should be 3 inches. So we're gonna take the calibers and go 3 inches. 3 inches, it's a smidge bigger than 3 inches. The top rim should be 3.5 inches. And then this little extra part should be 2 inches. And there you have it.